Distinguished Senator Aishatu Ahiru Ahmed on the Criminal Code Act Cap C-38, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 Amendment Bill 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Criminal Code Act Cap C-38 LFN 2004 Amendment Bill 2021 SB 739, first reading.
Criminal Code Act Cap C-38 LFN 2004 Amendment Bill 2021 SB 739, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fifth business of the day is the presentation of our bill sending in the name of distinguished Senator Sadiq Suleiman Umar on the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission Hypertech Act 2010 Amendment Bill 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission Hypertech Act 2010 Amendment Bill 2021 SB 742, first reading.
Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission Hypertech Act 2010 Amendment Bill 2021 SB 742, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the sixth business of the day is the presentation of the report of the Committee on Public Accounts on the annual report of the Auditor General of the Federation on the accounts of the Federation for the year ended 31st December 2015. Part 1. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Matthew Orogide, Chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, to move the motion for the Senate to receive the report.
Distinguished Senator Matthew Orogide.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm Senator Matthew Urogide, Edo South, Chairman Snate Committee on Public Accounts. Mr. President, my very distinguished colleagues, I rise to move that the Senate do receive the report of the Committee on Public Accounts on the annual report of the Auditor General for the Federation on the accounts of the Federation for the year ended 31st December 2015. I so move, Mr. President.
I need a seconder. Oh, Senator Ibrahim Hassan Hadeja.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, Ibrahim Hassan Hadeja, the Governor of East and Deputy Chairman of Public Accounts. I rise to second the motion that the Senate do receive the report on the Committee on Public Accounts on the annual report of the Auditor General for the Federation on the accounts of the Federation for the year ended 31st December 2015. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate do receive the report of our Committee on Public Accounts, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Mr. Chairman, you may let the report, please. Thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the first order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Communications on the Nigerian Postal Service on the Nigerian Postal Service Act, Cap C-127, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2021. The distinguished senators will recall that the bill was referred to the committee on Tuesday, 23rd March 2021. Mr. President, we wish to invite distinguished Senator Oluremi Shade Tinubu, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the presentation and consideration of the report.
Distinguished Senator Oluremi Tinubu.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, My name is Oluremi Tinubu, representing Lagos Central Senatorial District. I rise to move the motion that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Communications on the Nigerian Postal Services Act, CAP, N127, Laws of the Federation 2004, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2021. I so move, Mr. President.
I need a seconder. Senator Betty Apiafi.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Betty Apiafi, I represent Rivers West Senatorial District. I rise to second the motion as moved. As a second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do receive and consider the report of our Committee on Communications, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Jama, you may lay the report, please. You may present the report.
This is the report of the Senate Committee on Communications on a bill for an act to repeal the Nigerian Postal Service Act, CAP 127, Laws of the Federation 2004, and establish the Nigerian Postal Commission to make comprehensive provisions for the development and regulations of postal services and for other related matters, 2021 SB 657. Mr. President, the background of the bill is there. I will crave the indulgence of my colleagues not to take much of their time, to leave our findings because it's a little bit lengthy, and of the clauses, and move to findings and recommendations if they don't mind. Thank you, sir. In the findings, from the presentations and deliberations at the public hearing, and a subsequent analysis of the provisions of the bill in our markup sessions, the committee made the following findings. 1, the stakeholders are in support of the passage of this bill after taking into consideration their relevant inputs. 2, the economic and social importance of the bill cannot be overemphasized, as it will encourage local and foreign investment in the Nigerian postal industry and the introduction of innovative services and practices in the industry. 3, that Nigeria, as a matter of necessity, needs to align with international best practices in the postal sector, where postal laws have been successfully amended to separate regulations from operation, to support the development of the sector as practiced by West African neighboring countries like Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Niger Republic, etc. And 4, that the resulting diversified activities in the postal network will engender employment for the teeming youth and create opportunities for small and medium enterprises to find international and local market for their goods and services through postal e-commerce portal. Recommendation: flowing from the presentations made during the public hearing, the foregoing findings, the Senate Committee on Communications, to which the bill was referred, having favorably considered same, recommends as follows: that the Senate do consider and pass the bill for an act to repeal the Nigerian Postal Service Act, CAP N127, Laws of the Federation 2004, and establish the Nigerian Postal Commission to make comprehensive provisions for the development and regulation of postal services for other related matters, 2021 SB 657. I so move, Mr. President. and we wish to use this opportunity to thank the President of the Senate and our distinguished colleagues for the opportunity to serve in this capacity. Thank you, sir.
Any contributions? Leader of the Senate, Committee of the Whole.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I rise to move a motion for the chair for the Senate to resolve in the Committee of the Whole in order to consider this report.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that this Senate do now resolve into Committee of the Whole to consider this report as so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate resolves into Committee of the Whole to consider the report, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, this bill has 65 clauses and is not a controversial bill. It's a straightforward bill. Those in favor that clause 1, 2, 3, and 4 stand part of the bill, say aye. 4, DSP.
Thank you, Mr. President of Yomo Agege, Delta Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, Section 4, Subsection 3 says that the minister may, with the approval of the President, at any time remove any member of the board from office if the minister is of the opinion, that it is not in the interest of the board or the public postal operator for the member to continue in office. I shall notify the member in writing to that effect. Mr. President, this is too subjective. There's no criteria laid down, no objective criteria laid down here. Either there's a misconduct or what have you. Because as it is right now, the minister can just wake up. He doesn't like the face of that board member without giving a reason, recommend that it should be removed. I think like every other existing extant law, there should be some objective criteria here. Maybe the member must have been involved in a misconduct or infirmity or conviction or something. But as it is right now, you can just wake up, I don't like your face, you know, and he recommends that it be removed. And under the extant law as it is right there, it can be challenged.
Did you listen to the submission, Mary? So what's your opinion?
Opinion is, because from that clause 4, sir, is they said the minister may with the approval of the president. So it's not, to me, it's not the president taking, the minister taking charge without the knowledge of the president.
I think the point the DSP raised is there is no grounds are provided for the minister to take that action. Is it, if we have provision like the board member is infirm or is convicted or something, gross misconduct, then the minister has something to build on. But if we leave it as it is, the minister is at liberty to say he doesn't like this man on the board, probably because the man is, or woman is critical of everything that is brought to in the board meetings or something like that. So it's like going to be abused. I think that's the idea.
I would suggest that he should read the minister may, with the approval of the president, at any time, remove a member of the board from office if the minister...
On the grounds of infirmity.
Yes, if the... Okay.
On the grounds of misconduct.
On the grounds of misconduct,
Infirmity.
infirmity, or conviction. Excuse me? Infirmity of the mind. Exactly, yes. Disease, infirmity or disease of the mind. Or misconduct, or conviction.
Misconduct,
Yeah.
conviction, infirmity, or disease of the mind.
Of disease of the mind. Yes, sir.
Before I put the question on the amendment, or I get a seconder for the amendment, let me also make an observation here. We use the word may, and someone is convicted, someone has infirmity and disease of the mind, or someone is involved in gross misconduct. Is it may or shall? Because if you say may, he could leave the person. Yes, where it is already proven. I'm not a lawyer. Senator Balai Nala.
The reason why shall is not used is to provide that discretionary position of flexibility. If you say shall, it becomes mandatory. And if he is not in a position to determine what misconduct is, then there is a wrong exercise of discretion. So it is always better to put may.
Senator Rochas Okorocha, we have a motion. Are you seconding the motion? Distinguished, are you seconding the motion for amendment? Okay, you can. Then we'll look for a second.
Mr. President, there's a little bit of confusing issue here. One, you said the minister may, subject to approval of Mr. President. And now you are going again to mention other conditions. We assume, I think this committee must have considered that Mr. President, in his wisdom, or based on those issues, would have considered such approval before the minister can act on. If Mr. President had approved that a member be removed, who is the minister to question the authority of president, subject to other factors? I think there's something a bit not quite clear. So unless you are saying Mr. President should have made his findings, which we assume by this provision, I think we're missing two issues at the same place. I think what she wrote there is correct for as long as it's presidential approval, and Mr. President would have made his investigation or something.
Where you have a president.
It's presidential approval. Who is Mr. President?
Off your mic.
Well, I want someone to second the proposal by the DSP, the Deputy Chief Whip.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Before I second, if I may just say, I will second, sir. Yes, sir, but I thought I should flag off an issue that makes the point we are making very clear. If you look at the same section, subsection 4, you will see that the minister, with respect to other members, where he's going to take action, inquiry has been included as basis for him to take decision, which, unlike the first one, there was nothing. So I think that explains why we are trying to make sure, even in doing so, we should put in something that is certain as an action to be taken, not just arbitrarily like that, because it could be him. who could just be there and somebody doesn't like his face, like the Deputy Senate President said. With this, Mr. President, I rise to second the amendment as of, that is the amendment of, the amendment of Section 4, subsection 3 of this bill as moved by the Deputy Senate President. I so second.
Those in favor of the amendment of those in favor of clause 4 as amended stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. That's for the amendment. Then clauses 1 to 4. Those in favor that clauses 1 to 4 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that clause 5, clause 6, clause 5, DSP.
Thank you, Mr. President of the Omo Agege Delta Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, like I've always done, under Section 5, subsection 1, if I may read, said there shall be appointed for the public postal operator by the President on the recommendation of the Minister, a Postmaster General, who shall be the Chief Executive and shall be responsible for the execution of the policy of the board, etc., etc., etc. Mr. President, the point I want to make here is this. It is the President that has the prerogative to appoint. He is at liberty to consult with the Minister if he wants to, but we should not make that part of the law. And I've given my example in the past of where a Minister, I believe, of Health, when we had an appointment already made by Mr. President for the chairman of whether is it NHISTF, whatever it's called, right, exactly. Because that nominee did not come from the minister, even though the president had made the appointment, the president had to reverse that appointment on the ground that based on the law, it is the minister who should do the recommendation. And since there was no such recommendation right there, the appointment was set aside. So Mr. President is at liberty to consult the minister or consult anybody he wishes, but it should not be part of the law. So I think we should remove that part of it on the recommendation of the minister. No. He said there shall be appointed for the public postal operator by the President, a Postmaster General who shall be the Chief Executive and shall be responsible for the execution of the policy of the board relating to the public postal operator in his day-to-day administration. That's the amendment. I so move. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Bikule Amosu.
First, I want to second the amendment, but I have additional things that I want to raise. First, let me second the amendment. So, can I now? Yes, I've seconded that amendment, but can I now make my own?
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that clause 5 as amended stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Bikula Amosu.
Thank you, Mr. President. Further on the clause 5, I noticed that under Postmaster General, I think we should insert maybe a subclause that would define the tenure of office and removal from office, because there's nothing to indicate how he will be removed. I'm saying this with the background of what happened recently when the Postmaster General was just removed. We just had the announcement that Postmaster General has been removed and another one was put there. So I think we need to specify how Postmaster General be removed. And we should state, just like what we did in 4, the conditions under which he may be removed. I think it's important. Unless maybe it's somewhere that I've not seen, but I check. I can. Is it there? Okay, it's not. So I so submit, Mr. President.
This is creating an additional clause, not amendment. It's an additional subclause, isn't it? Okay. Did you couch it, or you can couch it so that we know exactly how it will be before it is seconded?
Mr. President, what we should just do is just to repeat the same thing in clause 4 with the amendment that the DSP put the other time. It will just stop it. Just to change the chairman to Postmaster General. I think it will be good.
Okay. I need a seconder. The deputy leader. What clause will that be now in 5? That will be 5. Sorry? 5M. L is the last one here. That will be the additional clause. Yeah. It's 5-4. Those in favor of the additional clause, who has seconded it? Deputy Leader. Those in favor of the additional clause, clause 5 sub 4, that stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 6. Sorry, 6.
Sorry, sir. We've actually passed that clause. It's a technical observation, and I think I flagged it, but I didn't know it was in a clause we've already passed. If you look at page 11, sir, we said internal affairs, and right now we don't have internal affairs. So I thought I should flag that off, because if you look at page 11, that is clause, okay, under 11, if you look at C, the new C, page 11 of the document, the clause I'm coming, it's under clause. The clause is behind now. Okay, I'm coming. Under clause 3, clause 3, C, sub C, also, is it sub C? I think it's 4, I don't know how they did it. I'm coming. It is C, yeah, club C, that's 1C, where they said a representative each of the following federal ministries, that is finance and then internal affairs. And right now we don't have internal affairs, it's interior. So I thought I should remind us of that, so that even though we passed, but it's a very significant error.
Well, I think we can correct that by saying the ministry responsible for internal affairs, right? Because the name will keep on changing. If you change it to interior, tomorrow somebody will just say it's not interior, it's internal. How do you deal with that? Senator Balanala.
See, I think we need to be a little bit flexible in our approach to lawmaking. If we say, assuming today we say, what ministry is replacing internal affairs? Interior. And tomorrow somebody becomes president and says he's no more putting it as interior. So that is why the Constitution, under section 314, I'm not so sure, thereabouts, make a saving provision that laws should be read to conform with, existing situations. So whether it's internal or whatever, we all know what is being referred to here.
I think because we are making a law here, we should try as much as possible to direct it properly. You people are the lawyers. If we say the ministry in charge of internal affairs whatever name you will call it later, it will flow. So maybe instead of leaving it internal affairs and then someone is arguing it's interior, there is no Minister of Internal Affairs responsible. So, no, finance is finance, anywhere, anytime. So, I don't know, but can't we correct it? That one does not require any serious decision. Senator Lukula.
Mr. President, I think what we should do is either to, Mr. President, I think finance is clear. We can put federal ministry in charge of finance and ministry that is in charge of internal affairs. But if we must define it, because as we speak today, it is interior, then we can put interior. If we must be defined it, absolutely. But otherwise, we can say ministry that is responsible or in charge of, we will now define that, internal affairs.
To me, I think I quite agree with Senator Nala, because this is just like explanatory. He said a representative each of the following federal ministries, that is finance or internal affairs, or it could be internal issues. So it's not specifically naming a particular ministry. Things that deals with finance, which it could get another name, or internal affairs or internal issues. It didn't say ministry per se.
Chairperson, I think we have to be very specific here. They say a representative each of the following federal ministries. And at the moment, we don't have federal minister of internal affairs. So if we say responsible for internal affairs, I think that solves it permanently. Whatever name that ministry will be called later, it is internal affairs. So those in support of this amendment say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clause 6. Clause 6. Those in favor that clause 6 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clause 7. Those in favor that clause 7 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clause 8. Actually, they are all retained. Clauses 8, 9, and 10. Those in favor that clauses 8, 9, and 10 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that clauses 11, 12, 13, and 14 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clauses 15, 16, 17, and 18. Those in favor that clauses 15, 16, 17, and 18 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clauses 19, 20, 21, and 22. Those in favor that clauses 19, 20, 21, and 22 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clauses 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27. Those in favor that those clauses stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 28, 29 retained, 30 retained, 31 retained, and 32. Those in favor that clauses 28 to 32 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, and 38. Those in favor that those clauses stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 39, 40, 41, and 42. Those in favor that clauses 39 to 42.
Clause
40.
Clause 40.
Clause 40. Who is? Clause 40, Yusuf. Yusuf.
That's clause 40, subsection D. Page 85. For using the funds for the purpose of investment. That is section 40, subsection D. I want to suggest that leaving investment is so open, and they may go and overtrade with the money and may not have money for administrating the commission. I want to suggest that for the purpose of investment in short-term financial instruments issued by the federal government of Nigeria.
Well, maybe you can make your point again so that everybody can hear you.
Now, I'm referring to 40 subsection D, because experience has shown that parastatals, sometimes ministries, sometimes departments, agencies, they misappropriate or misuse the funds that are available, putting the money in some investments that may be counterproductive to the running of the commission. So I want us to tie such investment should be in short-term financial instruments issued by the federal government of Nigeria. Typically, we are talking about treasury bills, treasury bonds, and not more than those ones, because those are liquid funds that at any time the commission wants, they can use the funds for whatever purpose they may. But if we leave it open, they may go into long-term investment, and which will tie in money, and they will not have money to run the commission. Thank you.
Senator Ibrahim, you have Olurogbe.
I said,
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the amendment to clause 40, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. And those in favor of that clauses 39, 40, 41, and 42 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 43, clause 44, clause 45, clause 46, and clause 47. Those in favor that clauses 43, 44, 45, 46, 47 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 48, Clause 49, Clause 50, Clause 51, and 52. Those in favor that those clauses stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clause 53, Clause 54, 55. Yes.
Sorry, sir. We have to go back. I know the appointment of the DG. That we have to repeat the same thing about removal.
Clause 35.
35.
Yes, Director General. You told the appointment. Clause stated how high.
Page 80, 79 and 80. Chairman.
Mr. President, it is the same thing that we killed under the Director General, under the Postmaster General. If you look at Clause 35, appointment of Director General, yeah, we just to put that same clause, to insert it there, that this is how the man can be removed. It's not there. The minister will just have a field day. That Director General will be confirmed by us, but nothing was stated as how they can be removed. Yes, so we should put it there. Just the same clause that we put in the other one. We repeat it in 35 and 36. No, secretaries, that one is not necessary. It is the Director General that is necessary. Thank you, Mr. President.
So we are going back to Clause 35. Those in favor that Clause 35 as amended stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clauses 53. No. Why are we going back like this? If it is something similar, the lawyers use one word now. Huh? Mutatis mutandis. Let's save it with the mutatis mutandis. So anywhere we have this, Secretary, take note. Yes. Mutatis mutandis, right? So we can proceed. Does that answer 36? Okay. So Clause 53, 54, 55, 56, and 57. Those in favor that those clauses stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clause 58, Clause 59, Clause 60, and 61. Those in favor that clauses 58 to 61 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clause 62, 63, 64, and 65. Those in favor that those clauses stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that the interpretation stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that the short title stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that the schedules stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that the explanatory memorandum stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that the long title stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I rise to move a motion for this distinguished Senate to resume plenary for the chair to report progress. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate reverse to plenary for the chair to report progress, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate, in the Committee of the Whole, considered the report of the Committee on Communications on the Nigeria Postal Services Act Cap N127 LFN 2004, repeal and reenactment bill 2021, and approved as follows. Long title as recommended. Clauses 1 and 2 as recommended. Clauses 3, 4, and 5 as recommended. Clause 6 to 34 as recommended. Clause 35 to 37 as recommended. Clause 39 as recommended. Clause 40 as amended. No, sorry, I take it again, please. Clause 35 to 37 as amended. Clause 39 as recommended. Clause 40 as amended. Clause 41 to 63 as recommended. Interpretation as recommended. Short title as recommended. Schedules 1 and 2 as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. Leader of the Senate.
A motion that the bill for an act to repeal the Nigerian Postal Services Act, Cap N127, laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and establish the Nigerian Postal Commission to make comprehensive provisions for the development and regulation of postal services for other related matters, 2021, be read the third time. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that this bill be now read the third time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to repeal the Nigerian Postal Services Act Cap N127, laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and establish the Nigerian Postal Commission to make comprehensive provisions for the development and regulation of postal services and for other related matters, 2021, SB 657, third reading.
A bill for an act to repeal the Nigeria Postal Services Act Cap N127, laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and establish the Nigeria Postal Commission to make comprehensive provisions for the development and regulation of postal services and for other related matters, 2021, third reading taken, and the bill is passed. Congratulations, Committee on Communications and indeed the Senate. Leader of the Senate. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, the second order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Health and Tertiary on the Medical and Dental Practitioners Act, Cap M8, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2021. Distinguished senators will recall that the report of the committee was laid on Wednesday, 21st April 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Ibrahim Yahaya Odoreke, Chairman of the committee, to move a motion for the consideration of the report.
Distinguished Senator Ibrahim Yahaya Odoreke.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I rise to move. Sorry, my name is Ibrahim Yahaya Oloriegbe. I represent Kwara Central Senatorial District. I rise to move that the Senate do consider the report of the Committee on Health, Secondary and Tertiary on the Medical and Dental Practitioner Act, Cap M8 LFN 2004, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2021. I so move, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Jarma. Hassan Mohammed.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second that the Senate do accept a bill to enact medical and dental practitioner bill to establish the medical and dental professional in Nigeria and for related matters be accepted. I so move.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate considers the report of our Committee on Health, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Chairman.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, thank you very much. The Senate, at its sitting on Tuesday, 8 December 2021, read this bill for the second time and referred same to the committee. Subsequently, the committee undertook legislative actions on the bill and came up with this report. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I seek your indulgence that I will go straight to the recommendations as provided in the report to be able to save our time.
You may do so.
President, after clause-by-clause consideration of the bill, which is divided into 5 parts made up of 47 clauses, 2 schedules, a short title, a long title, and an explanatory memorandum, the committee recommended as follows. The committee retained clauses 4, 6, 8, 14, 15, 16, 17, and as listed up to 47, and amended the following clauses, part 1, and clauses 1, 2, 3, 7, 9, and the other clauses as listed up to 46, and deleted the following clauses, the 3rd schedule, clauses 43, sub 3D, E, 5, and 6, and provided an insertion in form of explanatory memorandum and clause 44, and renumber clauses 43 and 3, 4 to 7, and sub 8. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, a stable and organized council to regulate the medical and dental practitioner is necessary for a country that is ready to overhaul its health sector. The existence of such a council will eliminate quackery and sharp practices, as well as discipline erring practitioners, thereby placing the health of the citizenry of utmost importance. In conclusion, Mr. President, the committee would like to thank you, Mr. Senate President, the Deputy Senate President, the entire Senate leadership, and all distinguished colleagues for the opportunity given to us to serve in this capacity. I so submit, Mr. President.
Any comments? Leader of the Senate, Committee of the Whole.
Mr. President, I write to move a motion for the Senate to resolve into the Committee of the Whole to consider this report. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate resolves into Committee of the Whole to consider the report, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that clauses 1, 2, 3, and 4 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Composition of the Council, clause 5, clause 6, clause 7, On clause 8. Those in favor that clauses 5 to 8 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clause 9, clause 10, clause 11, and clause 12. Those in favor that clauses 9, 10, 11, and 12 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clause 13, 14, 15, and 16. Those in favor that those clauses stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 19, clause 20, clause 21, clause 22. Those in favor that clause 19 to 22 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27. Those in favor that clauses 23 to 27 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that clause 28 to 32 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that clause 33 to 36 stand part of the bill say aye. 35. Leader, DSP.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ovi Omo Agege, Delta Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, I'd like the chairman to clarify 35(3)(a). 35(3)(a) reads, conducting a preliminary investigation into any case where it is alleged that a registered person has misbehaved in his capacity as a medical practitioner, has misbehaved. So what has misbehaved means in a
Sorry?
Chairman, it's on page 70. Yeah, what does misbehave, what does it mean? Are you talking about misconduct? What does that mean? What does misbehave means?
Chairman. Chairman, I think the legal term is always misconduct. So can we substitute that misbehave with misconduct? Okay. Gross misconduct. Okay. Those in favor that clauses 33, is it on the same thing?
Mr. President, sir, typically once you have a disciplinary committee, the grounds of misconduct, or there will be a service, document that guides the actions of that disciplinary committee. So, and I think it will be proper to just leave it for that disciplinary committee to do, and that has been captured here. I don't think we should change it because yes,
it's a language of writing. It's a legal language.
Sorry, sir. We are talking about medical practice here. So what we need to look at is malpractice, actually. Not even misconduct. It's malpractice. That is what is being used.
Even the malpractice is misconduct. So misconduct.
Yes, I know, but then because it's medical practice, anything that has to do with the discipline or whatever is because he has done something that is against the normal practice. Okay.
I'm not supposed to have an opinion, but I have a temptation here. I think misconduct is broader than malpractice. That's my understanding. So those in favor that clause 33 to 38 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Secretary, take note of the change. Misbehave to misconduct. 39, 40, 41, 42. Those in favor that clause 39 to 42 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that clause 43 to 46 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that the interpretation stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that the short title stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that the schedules stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that the explanatory memorandum stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that the long title stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected colleagues, I rise to raise a motion for the Senate to resume plenary to enable the chair report progress. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the chair reports progress say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. The Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Health on the Medical and Dental Practitioners Act, Cap M8-11 2004, repeal and reenactment Bill 2021 and approved as follows. Long title as recommended. Clause 1 to 34 as recommended. Clause 35 as amended. Clause 36 to 44 as recommended. Interpretation as recommended. Short title as recommended. Schedule 1 and 2, Schedules 1 and 2 as recommended. The explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I rise to move another motion that the Medical and Dental Practitioners Act, CAP M8, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2021 be now read the third time.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. As a second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the bill be now read the third time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to repeal the Medical and Dental Practitioners Act, CAP M8, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and to reenact the Medical and Dental Practitioners Bill to establish the medical and dental professions in Nigeria and for related matters 2021 SB 480, third reading.
A bill for an act to repeal the Medical and Dental Practitioners Act, CAP M8, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and to enact the Medical and Dental Practitioners Bill to establish the medical and dental professions in Nigeria and for related matters 2021, third reading taken, and the bill is passed. Congratulations. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the third order of the day is the second reading of the Federal University of Agriculture and Technology, ABO, Establishment Bill 2021. Distinguished senators will recall that this bill was read the first time in this distinguished chamber on Tuesday, 1st June 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Peter Nwoboshi to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Distinguished Senator Peter Nwoboshi.
Your Excellency, Mr. President, colleagues of the Ninth Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, my name is Senator Peter Nwoboshi, Delta North. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, convinced that it is in our best interest to fully harness our country's abundant but untapped agricultural and other natural resources through formal, organized and specialized academic studies and research, I rise humbly to move this motion for the second reading of the Federal University of Agriculture and Technology ABO, Bill 2021. This bill was read for the first time in this hallowed chamber on Tuesday, 1st June 2021. Mr. President, sitting at the edge and along the scenic tributaries of the River Niger, about town in Ndokwa Ethnic Nation is the headquarters of Ndokwa East Local Government Area of Delta State, a place of major historical significance in pre-colonial struggles and public administration. Abo covers a serene and rich arable zone with huge natural fisheries. Abo is naturally blessed as a food basket for this great country. Abo, like all other parts of the Ndokwa Nation, holds huge deposits of crude oil and gas resources. In this regard, the Ndokwa Nation is a major contributor to our national economy. Electricity generated from the 480 megawatts of by independent gas power plant is another critical contribution of the Ndokwa Nation to the development and growth of Nigeria. Mr. President, I will not bore you with a long speech. Let me however state that the establishment of the Federal University of Agriculture and Technology, ABO, would undoubtedly help to modernize and increase the great value the Ndokwa people contributed to our country. For the good of the nation, the institution will be a center of excellence with specialized research and study interests in the immense national endowment in Ndokwa and beyond. And very importantly, the Ndokwa people in Abo have offered to donate a large expanse of land in excess of 100 hectares in Abo for the development of the main campus of the university. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, it is significant to add at this point that it is the policy of the federal government to establish a university with specialization in agriculture in every geopolitical zone. The South-South geopolitical zone does not have one yet. Therefore, the proposed Federal University of Agriculture and Technology above is for the South-South zone in line with this equitable policy. I am confident that President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, as a lover of agriculture, will assent to this bill when passed by the National Assembly and give the South-South this university for the sake of prosperity. Mr. President, each day that this institution is not in existence is a disservice to this country. And I must say, a continuation of a historical pattern of systematic abandonment of the peace-loving people of Undokwa who give their best for the good of all. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, they want this institution. They deserve it. Let us give it to them. It will promote national development and harmony. As I take my seat, permit me, Mr. President, to specifically thank my brother and friend, the Deputy President of the Senate, Senator Obioma Agege, for his unique support for us to do this for the good of our people and the nation. I most humbly ask all our colleagues to support this bill. Mr. President, in line with our rules, I have attached herewith for your consideration a compendium of the 2021 financials required for the function of the university. For the greater good of our nation, I hereby humbly and formally move for the second reading of this bill to be taken and thereafter committed to committee stage as His Excellency, the President of the Senate, may direct. I so move.
The DSP.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ubi Omo Agege, Delta Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, first I'd like to commend my brother, my colleague, the senator representing Delta North Senatorial District, Senator Peter Womboshi, for this endeavor in seeking to establish this federal institution. Mr. President, we are from Delta State. Delta State has 10 federal constituencies. Mr. President, that does not have a federal, indeed, any form of higher institution in Delta State. Mr. President, as already clearly articulated in the lead debate, the Undokwa Federal Constituency produces so much and contributes so much to the economy of this country, not just by way of oil and gas deposits. Indeed, I think in the entire West Africa, it is Otorogun in my federal constituency and Okbai that host the largest gas deposits in the entire West African coast. Mr. President, notwithstanding this contribution, there is nothing in that federal constituency that is in any way commensurate with their contribution to the economy of this country. Mr. President, this federal constituency has been so marginalized. They have been crying and agitating for a higher institution, either from the state government or from the federal government. But for some reason, we're not able to explain, Mr. President, they have been deprived. The perception on the streets in the federal constituency is that government is indeed very, very wicked to them. Mr. President, by bringing this bill, Senator Peter Womboshi seeks to correct that perception. Mr. President, about a month ago, notwithstanding all of these agitations, the Delta State government established 3 new universities, 3 new state universities but none was established in this federal constituency. And let me be very clear. Those areas where the schools are, the new universities are established, they are deserving. They're indeed lucky, so they're deserving. I'm not in any way, Mr. President, suggesting that they're not deserving. But this federal constituency, Mr. President, is most deserving, taking into account that others already have institutions of higher learning, either federal or state, unlike this very constituency, Mr. President. Mr. President, the most important thing I'd like to point out here is that it is the policy of the federal government, as already articulated by Mr. Peter Wumboshi, that every geopolitical zone should host one federal university of agriculture. I'm sure my colleague here, Sindegu, will attest to that as a former Minister of Education. That's the policy of the government. Today, Mr. President, out of the 6 geopolitical zones, it is only 2 geopolitical zones. There's 3, South-South, and the Northeast, that is yet to have one. All the others already have, Mr. President. So, Mr. President, as Senator Peter Wumboshi already articulated, the people deserve this. This is the least that we owe them. By having this Senate to rise in unison, to come to their rescue, and support the establishment of this institution. So for all of the reasons advanced in the lead debate and the few that I just articulated, I hereby second this motion and ask all of my colleagues to support this bill for second reading. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for the opportunity.
Is anybody against the bill? Those in favor that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Agriculture and Technology, ABO, and for related matters thereof, 2021, SB 733, second reading.
A bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Agriculture and Technology, ABO, and for related matters thereof, 2021, second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Tertiary Education and TED Fund to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fourth order of the day is the second reading of the Copyright Act, CAP C-28, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, Repeal and Re-enactment Bill 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished senator. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this distinguished chamber on Tuesday, 4th May 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Mukhail Adetokunbo Abiru to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
This is distinguished Senator Mukhail Adetokunbo Abiru.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Mukhail Adetokunbo Abiru, Lagos East Senatorial District. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, it is my pleasure and delight to lead the debate on the general principles of a bill for an act to repeal the Copyright Act 2004 and to reenact the Copyright Act 2021. The bill seeks to repeal the Copyright Act and reenact the Copyright Act 2021 for a holistic review of the policy and legal framework for copyright protection in Nigeria. You will recall that the bill was read the first time in this hallowed chamber on Tuesday, May 4, 2021. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Nigerian copyright industries, comprising of the creative industries, such as Nollywood and broadcasting industry, the music industry, the fashion industry, the book publishing industry, the art industry, and Nigeria's emerging software and apps industry have been emaciated by a weak Copyright Act 1988 as amended. Since the coming into force of that decree, Nigeria has not had a holistic review of its laws for copyright protection. This is in spite of the fact that many substantial advances have been made in the industry in Nigeria and globally. Many Nigerian businesses have disappeared. Many Nigerian businesses have disappeared, and many Nigerian creators have died because of the harm occasioned by piracy and the weak mechanisms offered by the existing legal framework and successive government's inability to sufficiently fund the Nigerian Copyright Commission. Time and again, stakeholders in the Nigerian copyright community have called for the amendment of the copyright law in line with new technologies and stipulate deterrent penalties, but there has been no follow-up action in terms of amendments to the Copyright Act 1988, which was promulgated in 1999 under the military regime, and more than 22 years ago. More significantly, the emergence of digital technologies revolutionized the creative economy as production and dissemination of creative works became more accessible and lend themselves to global exploitation beyond national boundaries. Section 16, subsection 1A of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, enjoins the government to promote national prosperity and efficient and dynamic and self-reliant economy. Section 16, subsection 1D, also enjoins the government to protect the rights of every citizen to engage in any economic activities outside the major sectors of the economy. And for purposes of clarity, those sections are further stated here in the next two paragraphs. Mr. President, sir, the passage of this bill will give further credence to the constitutional provisions quoted above. The contribution of Nigeria's creative and innovative industries is significant. They offer employment, contribute to our GDP, and serve as good brand ambassadors for Nigeria. The international community has acknowledged the quality Nigerian creative talent through international nominations and awards such as the Oscars and the Grammy Awards. The Nigerian sports industry cannot grow if broadcast rights and other copyright and intellectual property rights are not promoted. Piracy of Nigerian creatives has devastated businesses, harmed consumers, and acted as a disincentive to foreign direct investment. The aims and objectives of the bill. This bill seeks to bring the law in tandem with current realities and will, amongst others, achieve the following. It will strengthen the copyright regime in Nigeria to enhance competitiveness of its creative industries in a digital and knowledge-based global economy. It will also protect the rights of authors to ensure just rewards and recognition of their intellectual efforts, while also providing appropriate limitations and exemptions to guarantee access to creative works, encourage cultural interchange, and advance public welfare. It will facilitate Nigeria's compliance with obligations arising from relevant international copyright treaties, and it will also enhance the capacity of the Nigerian Copyright Commission for effective administration and enforcement of the provisions of the Copyright Act. In furtherance of the above objectives, the bill makes some provisions which were not captured in the principal act, and these include: 1, make the law more friendly, for example, use of the term audiovisual works, which accommodates today's technology more than the term cinematography films. Offer a dispute resolution mechanism, and it also aligns Nigeria's copyright law to what is suitable for Nigeria in line with the World Trade Organization TRIPS agreement. And it will also increase the penalties for copyright infringement. It creates new offenses, such as aiding, abetting, and attempting copyright offenses will become punishable. And it will also make online digital reproduction and infringement. It amends the present definition of copy, which currently means material copy, and does not accommodate transient or non-permanent copy, which is what obtains online. The bill comes in 73 sections, 5 parts, and 5 schedules, which embody measures to facilitate all the above listed objectives. Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, let me conclude this debate by quoting the words of Professor Adebambo Adewopo, who was the former Director General of the Nigerian Copyright Commission. And I quote, "Modern nations now rely more on their intellectual property resources as the master key to the realization of their national desire. For any nation to progress economically, it must not play down the development of its intellectual resources. The only way to ensure the protection of original intellectual works is by tightening the legal provisions for the safeguard of copyright products, and especially liberalizing provisions in the extant copyright laws of the country to be able to accommodate products derived from the rapidly growing technology in the world. In Nigeria, the position of the country as Africa's largest market for copyrighted works has given us a bad name in the international community as the major hub of the global digital and software piracy. The passage of this bill into law will correct this. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I urge you all to support this bill to be read a second time. Thank you, Mr. President.
The Deputy Chief Whip.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I am Aliu Sabi Abdullahi. I represent Niger North Senatorial District. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, let me congratulate distinguished Senator Abiru for this bill. Indeed, he has rightly captured an amendment to this very important bill within the context of what obtains today in our global knowledge-based economy. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, there is no doubt that facts on the ground definitely calls for quick passage to this bill. I want to add my voice by saying that some 20 years back, the top companies in the world were found in the oil and gas industry. But today, if you check the top 20 businesses globally, you will realize that those traditional mineral-based companies have been dislodged by companies that deals in the currency of the digital economy, and they are driven by knowledge. To that extent, today you are talking about Facebook, you are talking about Amazon, you are talking about, all the other, yes, of course, Twitter and all the other companies that are employing knowledge to drive the services they provide to our society. In the context of this, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, you also realize, if you check the GDP of the country today, prominently featuring in the GDP calculation is the impact our Nollywood, film industry are making. And of course, of late, we are dealing with the fintech and all the other, companies that are coming on board. And of course, Nigeria today is becoming more attractive because the talents of Nigerian youth is becoming manifest in what they do, and it is no surprise that Nigeria today is the best destination when it comes to the issue of some of these creative industries. So, Mr. President, to allow the present Copyright Act, as it were, is denying the various infringements that our creative minds, who are laboring day and night to bring out products, and some other people are sitting somewhere and just taking away their sweat. And of course, you can also see the impact on operators in that sector. You will hear stories of actors or creative minds that today cannot even pay their medical bills. This is simply because some people are taking away their sweat, and there is no way they can prosecute these people because the law itself does not provide those provisions. I take cognizance of the provisions and the objectives of this bill, and I'm convinced beyond reasonable doubt that this amendment will align us to global best practice and therefore open more space for people who are interested in partnering with our young creative souls and minds to do so, because they know the law that is going to protect their investment is there. Mr. President, this bill is apt, it's timely, it will promote our youth to see the creative industry as where they can showcase their talents as they are already doing, because provisions have been made to cater for their talents. And I think I take note of the fact that when you look at the trade-related aspect of intellectual property rights, which is captured here, TRIPS, that is something that has been missing very critically. And I think if this provision is properly captured, our youth will definitely begin to smile to the bank because there is protection for their intellectual property. Mr. President, with this comment, I support that this bill be read the second time, and I urge my colleagues to do the same. Thank you.
Is anybody against the bill? Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that this bill be now read the second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to repeal the Copyright Act, Cap C 28, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, and to reenact the Copyright Act 2021, and for matters connected therewith 2021, SB 688, second reading.
A bill for an act to repeal the Copyright Act, Cap C 28, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, and to reenact the Copyright Act 2021, and for matters connected therewith 2021, second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Trade and Investment to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fifth order of the day is the second reading of Federal University of Agriculture, Adjournment, Ondo State Establishment Bill 2021. Mr. President, distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this distinguished chamber on Wednesday, 24th February 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Nicholas Tofowomo to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Distinguished Senator Nicholas Tofowomo.
The debate of Federal University of Agriculture, Alaromi, Ondo State, Establishment, Bill 2021, in bracket, SB 646. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I'm delighted to lead the debate on the historic bill which seeks to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Agriculture, Alaromi in Ondo State. The bill was first read on the 24th of February 2021. The Federal University of Agriculture is historic because it is attached to Rubber Estate Nigeria Limited, Alaromi, which was first established in 1988. And Alaromi Ayeson Oil Palm Plantation, which was established in 1952 by the government of Western Region, headed by late Chief Obafemi Awolowo. Presently, Nigeria is number 12 of rubber in the world, and there are 8 locations of rubber plantation in Nigeria. They are in Edo, Delta, Ogun, and Ondo states working as a team. All the latex produced in other locations are brought to the rubber estate in Alaromi for processing into raw rubber that undergoes final processing into plastics, tires, and other gadgets. Alaromi Ayeson Oil started production in 1953 under Western Nigeria Development Corporation, which is WNDC, and later Western State Agricultural and Industrial Corporation, WSAIIC, and managed presently by Ondo State Investment Holding Company Limited. These 2 major agricultural development institutes are functionally very well. without federal government intervention. The establishment of a federal university would integrate federal government with both agricultural institutes, and they would jointly develop the university. The objectives of the university includes: 1, the university would become the fountain of agricultural research in rubber and oil palm in Nigeria. Number 2, the university would become a catalyst for effective agricultural system through graduate and postgraduate training, research, and innovation for effective agricultural utilization and concentration of countries' agricultural research. The university will address upgrading of agricultural development and innovations. The university will inject industrial agriculture and upgrade the current agricultural techniques. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, it will surprise you to know that Malaysia obtained oil palm technology from Western Nigeria in the 1950s. And as of today, Malaysia is the largest producer of oil palm in the world, which is unfortunate because became one of our negligence of oil palm production and development. As of today, we are far behind in the world production of oil palm. The establishment of the Federal University of Agriculture, Ondo, will reverse this trend and develop the up-performing oil palm production. You may wish to know that 10,000 hectares of land allocated to Ayesan oil palm is available and ready to be ceded to the university for utilization. Rubber estate at Ayesan oil palm plantation have been playing a meaningful role in developing both Araromiogun and Ayesan. And with the establishment of this university, it will strengthen the agricultural institutes with the communities, and this will create massive employment in the university, rubber estate, and in the oil palm production. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this university will be unique because of established agricultural institution that will play a big role from its inception. In line with Order 77/3 of the Senate Standing Order 2015 as amended, a compendium of the financial implication of the establishment of the university is hereby attached. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I urge you to support this bill for the second reading and make it historic. Thank you.
Senator Fadaunsi Francis Adenigba.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Francis Adenigba Fadaunsi, OFR from Osun East. I support my colleague from Ondo State on the bill to establish the University of Agriculture in Araromiogun, Ondo State, for a lot of reasons, which I will mention few. Ondo State generally is the center of agriculture in the southwest, producing almost the largest cocoa producer in Nigeria after Cross Rivers. The Ondo State has gone further to process all the products of cocoa into about 32 products, including cocoa wine, cocoa bread, cocoa butter, and so on. About 2 years ago, Ondo State came first in international competition as regards cocoa butter. Then, where we have the center, the rubber plantation is going down, and they have been the leading producer of raw rubbers in the country after the old Bende. And that is why we are having massive importation of all sorts of tires, including used one, into the country. With this establishment of this university in Araromi, Obu, the oil plantation will get a boost, and we are going to be, in the next 5 years, we are going to be the leading producer of palm oil and other products into the country, in the whole world. We will surpass that of Malaysia. Rubber will give us a lot of good tires if a good research is done very well in this university. And with this establishment of this major university around the southwest, a lot of employment opportunities will be provided for the youth, and researchers all over the world will come there to assist Nigeria in having those few products that can boost our economy. With this, I hereby second the bill that it should be read second time, so that at least our economy can get a boost, and we stop wasting our foreign resources on the importation of all these tires and so on. I so submit.
Is anybody against the bill? Those in favor that this bill be now read the second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Agriculture, Araromi, Obu, Ondo State, to make comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration, and for other related matters, 2021, SB 646, second reading.
A bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Agriculture, Araromi, Obu, Ondo State, to make comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration, and for other related matters, 2021, second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Tertiary Education and TED Fund to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I would like, before going to the issue under reference, to inform you that my attention had been drawn to the earlier referral that we made on the lead debate for the Copyright Act repeal and reenactment bill to be amended or revised, so that the committee, there will be a joint committee led by the Trade and Investment Committee, but with the assistance of the Committee on Human Rights and Legal Matters, for the legal issues that are involved in this Copyright Act, so that the reference should be read to be the Committee on Trade and Investment, assisted by Committee on Human Rights and Legal Matters. So I would want to read the issue so that the Senate amends that referral to reflect that the two committees should work together, on this, with the Trade and Investment Committee as the lead committee.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of this rescission or revision of our earlier resolution on the referral to now be referred to the committee, a joint committee of trade and investment and judiciary, human rights and legal matters with the trade and investment as the lead committee, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the sixth order of the day is the second reading of Public Complaints Commission Act, P37, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 Amendment Bill 2021. The distinguished senator will recall that the bill was read the first time in this distinguished chamber on Tuesday, 20th April 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Albert Basi Akpan to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Distinguished Senator Albert Basi Akpan.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Senator Albert Basi Akpan, Akwa Ibom Northeast. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, it is my honor and privilege to lead this debate on the Public Complaint Commission Act P37 LFN 2004 Amendment Bill 2021. The bill was read for the first time on Tuesday, 20th of April 2021. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, certain provision of the Extant Act has never been amended since its enactment. This provision has become outdated and no longer in line with current economic realities, which has necessitated the proposed amendment. This bill therefore seeks to amend Section 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and Section 11 of the Public Complaint Commission Act P37 LFN 2004 to provide for additional powers for the Public Complaint Commission, ensure compliance with the Commission's recommendation by respondents, create awareness and precision on Commission's function, restrictions, and the powers of the National Assembly. Mr. President and my respected colleagues, the Public Complaint Commission Act, PCC Act, was promulgated in 1975 as a decree with wide powers to inquire into complaints by members of the public concerning the administrative actions of any public authority and companies or their officials and other auxiliary or connected matters. Over the years, the PCC has tried to justify its existence despite the mega resources available at its disposal to execute its core mandate. However, the numerous statutory restrictions to the powers of the Public Complaint Commission has greatly impeded its operational effectiveness and public confidence, while making the PCC seem like a toothless lion. The federal law, which was the decree that set up the PCC with wide powers to investigate administrative injustice, at the same time limits the PCC from investigating administrative injustice that happens or that may concern the Nigerian Police Force, the Armed Forces Act, or the Police Act. Mr. President, my distinguished respected colleagues, the recent NSAS experience has proven that there is a need to remove the restrictions on the powers of PCC to inquire and investigate complaints that concern the Nigerian Police Force, the Armed Forces Act, or the Police Act, especially where it involves a non-member of the forces or a civilian in line with democratic norms. The Extant Act put the PCC at liberty to investigate and review administrative injustice even after the court have given judgment. That is, legal proceedings have been exhaustively obtained. This is practically impossible. Where there is a court judgment, even from the lowest court like magistrate court, no administrative panel or government commission like PCC can attempt to review the same. This, apart from being consistent with the provision of the Constitution, obviously creates confusion on the relevance of the PCC, which calls for legislative amendment of the Extant Act to address this ambiguity. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, the Nigerian Parliament, consisting of the elected representatives of the people to whom the PCC is responsible, has a duty to create adequate enlightenment about the PCC and its activities. This is greatly needed across Nigeria, as most Nigerians know little or nothing about the PCC. There is great need to change this narrative by amending the Extant Act to enable the Commission to publish all its activities for public awareness and enlightenment purposes. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, under the Extant Law, when you refuse to honor the Commission's summon, the fine is a mega 500 naira or 6 months imprisonment. That has not changed since 1975. Punishment are usually meant to serve as deterrents. The present fine of 500 naira fine is obsolete in current realities. The proposed amendment of the penalty and fine that's contained in this bill, apart from being long overdue, will also strengthen the PCC, win and guarantee public confidence, and ensure compliance to its recommendations and operational effectiveness. The bill in Section 8 therefore provides a fine of 500,000 for individuals and 5 million naira for corporate bodies, or 7 years imprisonment as in the current Extant Act as punishment for refusing to honor the Commission's summon. Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, while the bill is mindful of granting excessive powers to the PCC, the possible abuse of same, it reiterates the position of the National Assembly as the final arbiter in any matter arising from the Commission. Let me at this point strongly emphasize the need to recalibrate the legal powers of the PCC to boost its functionality, operational effectiveness, and confidence of the public on the Commission. I thank you all, Mr. President, my colleagues, for your support towards the speedy passage of this amendment bill into law, and therefore humbly moved that this bill now be read the second time. So, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Ahmed Babaketa.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ahmed Babaketa Katsina Road. I rise to second this very important motion sponsored by no other than Senator Albert. I so second.
You may contribute if you so wish.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, I think the mover of the bill has already highlighted the inherent problem with the PCC, and I believe this requirement to make amendment is apt and will make the Commission more effective to be able to discharge their duty. Mr. President, you will agree with me that 500 naira as a fine for an offense committed now is outdated and totally, people will be willing to commit just because they know the fine is not that big. So I strongly support this amendment, and I believe especially that this commission is an extension of our roles as legislators. I believe that this will help. Thank you, Mr. President.
Is anybody against the bill? Those in favor that this bill be now read the second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the Public Complaints Commission Act, Cap. P. 37, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, and for other related matters, 2021, SB 692, second reading.
A bill for an act to amend the Public Complaint Commission Act, Cap. P. 37, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, and for other related matters, 2021, second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petitions to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, will soon come to a stop. 2 o'clock is ticking, what is our statutory time to conclude all sittings unless we extend the time. I would like to move a motion for us to step down consideration on all other items on our agenda today to tomorrow, the 9th of June 2021 at 10 a.m. prompt. I so move.
Minority.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that we stand down the consideration of the remaining items in our order paper till another legislative day, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I rise to move a motion for this Senate to adjourn the all proceedings until tomorrow, 9th June 2021 at 10 a.m. prompt. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do adjourn till tomorrow, Wednesday, the 9th day of June 2021 at 10 a.m. prompt, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate is hereby adjourned till tomorrow, Wednesday, the 9th day of June 2021 at 10 a.m.